Yeah, I gotcha.
All right. Thank you for joining us this morning before you make the trip to Nashville for this weekend's event. Your sponsor, Ally, a big weekend for them. Do you mind just to give us a quick overview of kind of like how you're looking forward to the weekend and what it means to have Ally so involved, not only in the Nashville market, but also in this event?
Yeah, for sure. It's always cool to have Ally be the title sponsor of the race this weekend. So last year, I feel like we definitely underperformed at Nashville. It was a bummer for it being the Ally 400. So we're all in on trying to get our race car better. But anything Ally does, they're all in on. So there's a lot going on, whether it's at the racetrack or at Old Red or kind of wherever they've got me going. So excited for kind of all the weekend's activities and just trying to do our best to put on a good show and get the Ally 48 in victory lane.
All right, we're going to open up for questions for Alex. If you have a question, raise your hand. We're going to get to as many questions in the time that we have with Alex. And to kick us off, we're going to start with Jenna Fryer. Go ahead, Jenna, with your question for Alex.
Thanks. Hey, Alex, how you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you. What kind of pressure is there, if any, on you when Ally is so heavily involved in the weekend?
It's not like there's this overbearing pressure. Certainly not from the outside, at least. I think just for me, I'm like, anything that they do, like, you want to do well. Anytime that like JB and Andrea are there, or really anybody from Ally are there, like, you want to run well, and for them to have their name on everything there, like, I really want to run well, and I want to get the Ally car in victory lane for that race, for any race, but just a little bit extra this weekend. So I don't think there's nothing from Ally or from anybody at HMS. It's just I want to run well, for selfish reasons when it's the Ally 400.
And another question on Ally. What's it like as a driver when you line up with a sponsor that so believes in you and wants to work with you and wants to promote you and send you all over Nashville?
Yeah, it's been really cool. They have been amazing to work with. I'm not gonna lie to you. When Mr. H told me I was driving the 48, I was super nervous. I didn't know how I was gonna go. I didn't know anybody at Ally yet. I just didn't know how I was gonna go, and it has been awesome. Everybody there has been awesome to work with. Anything that we've done, whether it's the animal shelter stuff, the sprint car stuff, whatever they've been a part of, they've been amazing. So for this weekend, kind of going all over Nashville is going to be really cool, and I'm just excited because they're always on their game. They do things the right way, and they're really fun to work with.
And my last question, just where do you think you are right now? Excuse me, headed into the 17th race of the season. How do you feel about things?
I don't think we're quite where we want to be. I think we've had a rough couple weeks. Sonoma, we had a way better race car than where we finished. We got caught up when the 18 spun on that last restart. But, Gateway wasn't pretty for any of the HMS cars. And I think we've got a little bit of work to do. So looking forward to seeing how we come out after the week off and the little bit of a reset that we've had. And hopefully we're really strong in Nashville. Like I said, we struggled there last year. So a lot of pressure from myself to run well, and hopefully we're good. I think a lot can change after a weekend off. So we'll see where we stack up.
Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, our next question will go to Kelly Crandall. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thank you. Hey, Alex. I got a couple for you. It seems like this year, maybe more so than years past, it just, you never know who's going to hit on it from week to week, maybe. Obviously, there's been some consistent drivers up there and things like that, but the word unpredictable seems to be used a lot this year. As a driver every week, is that fun? Or is that something that's kind of frustrating to where, again, you don't know who's going to be good on any given weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think it feels pretty normal to me. It doesn't feel extraordinarily different. I definitely think, you know, the way the season's been, like I feel like the HMS cars were really good to start, and some other guys have caught up here recently. Like the Trackhouse cars have been really, really strong. So just trying to understand where we're at has been interesting. But for us, like it's pretty normal. I'd say the biggest thing is the lack of being able to change things in practice is a little bit weird. Like we have some practice back, but we can't really make changes and change necessarily what we want to with the race car. So just trying to unload the best we can so we can make the most out of those practices and be as close as we can be. But it definitely seems like, there's not one guy that's kind of taken off with the season. So it's kind of wide open still. And hopefully when the playoffs swing around, we're in the best shape possible.
Yeah, you say there about not really one guy has run away with it. It seems like in terms of playoff points, that's kind of the same thing. There's really not a big gap from anybody. So I would assume that as of right now, that's a good thing as we start to get closer to the playoffs, that nobody's really separated themselves in terms of points.
Yeah, I guess. I guess we've seen in previous years, guys rack up a ton of wins and have a ton of playoff points to lean on. So typically they're the best guys in the playoffs anyway. So it's a little bit interesting, but yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty wide open right now. I think you're going to have teams get hot and then kind of cool off even between now and the playoffs. I think so much changes with this race car, and it's not like the old car where we're, nitpicking things and making little changes and little developments. Like it's obviously we can't change parts, but it's like big swings. I feel like as we learn the race car and as teams get the race cars better, it's big improvements. And I think it's going to continue to be that way.
And one last thing, Next Gen has been praised this year for its performances on most of the mile and a half. Has it felt or has the racing looked as good to you behind the wheel as it seemingly has to everyone watching?
Yes and no. I think it drives worse, which makes a better race. Like I think at the short tracks, Martinsville in particular drove way too well, and it made a bad race. So I think that the places, the mile and a half, it seems to race really well, and like it definitely isn't as comfortable to drive as the old car. But the rules package that we've ended up with, and kind of wherever everything shook out, like it's put on really good races. So I think that's been really good, and I'm surprised that the short tracks weren't better. I kind of would have predicted that they would have been great, but it's good to see the mile and a half racing as well as they have.
Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, our next question will go to Bob Puckers. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Alex, kind of following up on some of the others. I want to say Hendrick has one win in the last 8 races, and you guys start out so strong. And again, I know you probably were running, all of you were running better at Sonoma than where you finished. But I'm just curious if you feel like as a group as a whole that, has there been a cause for maybe not having the results you'd wanted the last couple months?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I could say what it was or what exactly we were fighting, like we could fix it, right? I think I don't think we're bad by any means. I think we're just not as great as we were in the beginning of the year. So I think some other guys have just caught up, and we've got to do our homework to get back ahead of the pack. So we're all working on it. A lot of really smart people at HMS. I know a lot of them rely on your tweets for getting weekly information, and that helps us out with knowing where the resin's going to be and stuff like that. But a lot of really smart people that are head down working on making our race cars better for each and every week.
And I wanted to ask you about, considering the heat expected this weekend, are you more concerned about you yourself, or are there certain parts, pieces, components on the car that have not been tested yet in extreme heat that concern you more?
well, I'm a whiny race car driver, so I'm concerned about me myself. I think the parts and pieces on the race car should be fine. Um, I think really the biggest failure we saw lately was the brake issue with the 4 car. So I think all that should be okay, and the car should be fine. It's definitely going to be hot, but I think that's kind of what we all train for and all expect. Cup racing in the summer is a very uncomfortable environment, and the next gen car has made that environment way more so uncomfortable. But just gotta keep training, and I think that stuff pays off, and hopefully I'm on the right side of that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, our next question is going to go to Lee Spencer. Go ahead, Lee.
Thank you. And thank you, Alex, for joining us. Just wanted to ask you, you can relate to what Ross Chastain has been through, where you really had to grind to get the opportunity to end up with an elite organization. But, kind of where Kelly was talking about, Trackhouse, nobody really anticipated this happening, but it did. And he's having that moment. And when things clicked for you at Hendrick and you had that first win, what was the relief? I mean, what do you think he's going through? Does it make you feel like Superman because you're finally in equipment where you are running up front on a weekly basis?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we definitely have somewhat similar career paths. I mean, I think he drove some really good trucks and stuff, and had a lot of opportunities. But I think he's been great this year. He's super aggressive. I think this race car fits him really well, and he's been doing a really good job. Definitely had some drama around it and some people fired up, but happy to see him win some races. And I think he's a super talented race car driver. So it's cool to see. For me personally, like, it was a big roller coaster. I got signed to Hendrick Motorsports and almost won some races in 16 and sat on the couch. And then in 18, when I finally got that full-time ride, it was a really frustrating year. So it didn't come right away. And when it did come, like in 19, we still weren't, phenomenal. Winning Chicago, we were really good, but really it wasn't until last year that we were, we won 4 races last year, 3 within a really short time span. And it wasn't really until that it was like, oh, okay, we can do this every week. So it's tough. The Cup Series is hard, and when you get up, it will knock you right back down. So it is always hard. There's no being comfortable, but it's good to see Ross having success.
You mentioned about this car suiting his style. We have seen people where this car does not suit their style. One of your teammates, Chase Elliott, is one of those guys. I mean, he's talked about it. Alan's talked about it. What do you think the learning period, or just getting acclimated? Some of these guys are going to embrace it. They're going to dive all in. But who is it? An aggressive driver? What is the kind of style that really suits us? Because we're seeing guys like Truex who had just been Mr. Steady and can't find his ass in this car.
Yeah, I think, well, Ross's style somewhat seems to be hitting people, which this car is obviously pretty tough. But aside from that, he's just really aggressive, and I think he can drive the heck out of it. He's obviously, the Trackhouse cars are really, really good, so that doesn't hurt either. But I think everybody's head down, all in, and embracing it. There's nobody that's like, oh, I don't like this car, I'm not going to try. Like, we all know that it's what we've got and know that we've got to figure it out. So just trying to figure it out quicker than the next guy.
So where are you on it? Have you embraced it? Are you digging it? Do you enjoy driving it? You mentioned the short tracks wasn't what you expected, but other than that, are you, have you kind of found your groove finally with this car?
I think so. Trying my best to figure it out. It's definitely been a learning curve. it's just different. And at some places it's more different than we thought it would be. And in other places it's really good. So just trying to figure it out, and going to a lot of places that we haven't been with it yet is still the biggest question mark. Like, we don't have a notebook to lean on. So just trying to learn the most we can, the quickest we can.
Appreciate your time. Thank you. Good luck this weekend.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, our next question is going to come from Daniel McFadden. Go ahead, Daniel.
Hey, Alex. So Nashville's a pretty unique intermediate track, both in distance and racing surface, and a lot of teams had brake issues there last year. So how's the 48 team approaching this unique track with this brand new car? How do you think it's going to play out Sunday?
I don't know. I feel like it's going to look like a 1.5 mile race. I feel like the race is going to be pretty good. I'm excited that they sprayed the resin higher on the racetrack than they have in the past. I think that'll be a help. So just trying to be as prepared as we can be. Like I said, we don't have any notes, trying to correlate notes to last year. But that's kind of tough. So hopefully we're on the right side of it. But yeah, I don't really anticipate any brake issues or anything like guys had last year. I think we're in a better place and should be pretty good.
Thanks.
Yep.
All right, and our final question, apologies, we will not get to everyone's question with Alex this time, but our final question will go to Rob with the podium finish. Go ahead, Rob.
Thanks, Amanda, and thanks for joining us today, Alex.
Yeah.
My question for you today is, with all this nonstop racing that's going to kick off starting this weekend from Nashville to the end of the season at Phoenix, how do you plan to keep yourself staying refreshed and fit, and also not too burnt out during this pivotal stretch?
Yeah, the one off weekend for the whole year was an interesting move for sure. And I'm the super smart person that spent it just racing more. So it's definitely, it's a tough, grueling season. It's hard to complain about from a driver's point of view when you see what the team guys are going through. I think it's harder on them than anybody. So appreciative for all the hard work that the teams and their families put in. It's a long year and a tough grind from here on out. So from my side of things, just got to keep steady and, train hard, work hard during the week. And the best way to stay refreshed and to not get burnt out is to run well. So going to do our best to make that happen.
For sure, Alex. Thanks so much, and best of luck in the Alley 400.
Thanks.
Awesome. Alex, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And like I said, audio and video from this session will be posted on NASCARmedia.com. Thank you.
Thanks.